Hey YouTube, it's Saurabh again, and in this video I will show you how to transition from Maya to Blender in very simple steps. I'll try to break it down as simple as possible and I hope it helps you guys. Welcome to the video. So I'm going to teach this video so it's beginner friendly for people who are using Maya and Blender as well. Because if someone just started using Maya and wants to shift to Blender, this video can help them as well. For people who are already good in Maya, you guys can just follow along and transition into Blender. There are three ways of navigating in your viewport around an object. First method is orbiting. When you have an object selected and you want to orbit in Maya, you press Alt and left mouse button and it spins around the object in the viewport. Now let's do it in Blender. For orbiting in Blender, it's just the middle mouse button and that's how you orbit. The second method is called panning. In Maya, you can pan by pressing Alt and middle mouse button and this is called panning. In Blender, panning is done by holding Shift middle mouse button and that's called panning. The third method is called zooming. In Maya, you can just scroll wheel to zoom. In Blender, you can scroll wheel to zoom, so they're both the same. The fourth method is fine zooming. In Maya, that is Alt plus right mouse button, and look how fine zoom you can do that. So it's really smooth, right? And in Blender, this is a little tricky. It's Control plus middle mouse button, and then you drag your mouse front and back. So Control, middle mouse, drag your mouse front and back. And that's how you fine zoom in Blender. With these 4 navigation tips, you can now navigate around Maya and Blender with ease. The fifth is focus. When your object is somewhere aside in Maya, you just click on it and press the letter F for focus, and it brings the object in the center of your screen. In Blender, when you want to focus, you select the object and it's the period key on the numpad. So when you press that, that's focus in Blender. Now that that's done, let's move into actually moving in object mode. The move tool. In Maya, when you select the object, you hit the W key to get the gizmo, and now you can move on the X, Z, and Y axis. And if you want to move the object randomly in the viewport, you select the object, click the center of the gizmo, hold your middle mouse button, and now you can literally move it anywhere around the viewport. Moving in Blender is when you click the object and you hit the G key. When you hit the G key, this is now in move mode, but by default, it is actually the random in Maya in viewport, right? So you can just literally move it anywhere you want. If you want to move it on the constraint axis, after you hit G and when your object is able to move, then press X and then it goes onto the X. If you press Y, it goes to the Y axis. If you press Z, it goes to the Z axis. Just a note, in Blender, Z is the vertical and in Maya, Y is the vertical. Oh, and there's an added step in Blender. If you move an object and you want to confirm it, that's the left mouse button. And it confirms the position. So you can see that it moved there. If I hit Ctrl Z to go back and press G and I move it, but then I hit the right mouse button, it cancels the operation. Whereas in Maya, when you move it, it's moved. If you want to move it back, just press Ctrl Z. Moving with units. In Maya, if you want to move with specific units, you just open your channel box here, select the object. If you want to move it 1 on the axis X, then you put 1 in translate X, press enter. Now it moved 1 unit on the X. And if you want to move it now on the Z, you can go to translate Z and press 1 unit on the Z. And that's how you move perfect units in Maya. In Blender, it's a little bit easier. When you press G, you go into move mode. You press X to actually constrain it to X, and then you can press 1 and it automatically moves 1 unit. Blender remembers the number you have currently typed. Remember, because we have not set the position of the cube. So if you hit backspace, it's going to go back to 0. And then if you press 1, it moves back 1. And if I hit backspace and press 2, now it moves 2 units, right? So it remembers the number. So basically, if you want to hit like 12, go ahead and press 1, 2, and you see how it goes out of the screen because it's all the way 12 units out. And then if you hit backspace, this is 1 unit, backspace, and now it goes to 0 units. So that's how you move in Blender. So if I press Z, I can do 1 and it goes up. If I hit backspace and then -1, it goes down, right? So you need to go back all the way. Just keep it in your head that you have to clear up and then you can put a number. So minus or plus. You don't have to hit plus for the plus numbers, but for minus, you need to specify that. That's it. Now, rotations in Maya. If you select the object and press E, E is for rotation. And you can see this gizmo, you can rotate on the Z-axis, on the X-axis, and then on the Y-axis. Pretty simple. And even when you do this, you can again go over here and then rotate X to 45 degrees, right? So this is point when you give a value to the rotation. That's what it is. In Blender, it is R. When you click R, it goes into rotation mode. And like with move, when you are in R and you move, it literally spins from the camera's point of view. So that's the axis it spins on, right? If you press X, after you press R, you can spin it on the X, Y, and Z. Same as Maya, right? And when you're in Z, for example, and then you hit 45, it's perfectly 45, right? That's how you do it in Blender. Now for scale, when you select your object and press R in Maya, you can scale on the X, you can scale on the Z, and you can scale on the Y. If you want to overall scale this, go in the center and overall scale it. If you want scale units, you can put them over here, right? And that's pretty much it. That's how you scale. In Blender, it's S for scale. So it's pretty simple. And again, like default, when you press S, it's literally overall scale by default. But then you can press X for X, Y for Y, and Z for Z scale. And if you want units, again, remember, because we are in this Z scale already, I can put 3, and there you go, it's 3. If I press 2, it's 2, and I press 1, it's 1, right? So that's how you scale it. Another tip for scaling is if you want to isolate the Y-axis. So basically, if I don't want to scale this in Y, but only want to scale it in X and Z, you come to this small gizmo piece here, and then you scale it like this. You click and you drag, right, with your left mouse. And you can see that how it scales only on 2 axes, but then leaves the axis on the top because you use this. If you scale it over here, you can see that it isolates the Z. This red means it's isolating the X. That's how you scale in 2 axes in Maya, leaving the third one. In Blender, when you hit scale, it's an overall scale now. If you want to isolate, let's say the Z, press Shift Z after you have clicked your manipulator, like scale, rotate, it works for everything. So if you press Shift Z, right? And then now you can see that it isolated the Z. So it scales only on 2. So Shift Y, Shift X is used after you use the manipulator. So for example, if let's say we just move, right? This is moving. Now I don't want to move up and down. I don't want to move in the Z axis. Shift Z, and now it moves only on the X and Y. That's it. Perfect. Now we even covered move, rotate, and scale literally in Maya and then immediately in Blender. So I hope me teaching you like this is helping you out. And if it is, I'm a pretty small YouTuber. If you guys can share my videos and subscribe, that would help me a lot. I'm trying to reach 500 by the end of this year. So please help me out with that. All right, back to the video. Now, in Maya, the default mode is object mode. This is the mode where you can actually move the whole object and scale it and rotate it, right? But you cannot edit the mesh itself. So if you want to do that, we need to go to edit mode. In Maya, when you select an object, just hold right click down. You can go to edge, vertex, or face. Remember, this is me holding the right click down to pop this menu and then select whatever mode I want. If I go to edge mode, you can see that now I can literally select edges, right? And because I can select edge, everything I taught you with move, rotate, and scale can be applied to one component itself. So now you can literally move the mesh. You can see how you're altering the mesh, right? But when a mesh is altered and you go into object mode, which you can again do by holding right click to go into object mode, now you can move it and you can scale it, right? But you see how the deformation is set in your cube? That is the power of edit mode. So now you can go into vertex and you see how it allows you to select a vertex, right? And then you can move one vertex up and down and you can edit your cube however you want. And if you go to face selection, and now you can move the face. And if you press R, you can scale the face, right? So that's how you do it. Edit mode in Maya with the 3 basic components. All right, now in Blender, we select the object, which is obviously in object mode again. You can see it over here. It's in object mode. To switch mode to edit, just hit Tab. And when you hit Tab, you will see this huge menu drop out. These are just tools which you can use in edit mode. I will go through them one by one in some later video if you guys want. And now in edit mode, if you press 1 on your keypad, this is defaulted to vertex mode, right? Oh, what's happening? Okay, so yeah, so this is on vertex mode. And now that you have selected vertex, remember in Blender, G, R, and S to move, rotate, and scale. And now you can press G, literally move this. If you press X, you move it only on the X. Y, you only move it on the Y, right? Same thing. Everything I taught you, it's just the same. If you hit 2 on your keyboard, now it's on edge selection mode, right? And I'm teaching you guys this with shortcuts because it's much faster. Yes, there are other ways to do it. You literally click on these 3 buttons here: vertex, edge, and face. But I'm trying to show you shortcuts so that your workflow increases and you're faster. So 1 for vertex, you can see that vertex mode has been enabled. 2 is for edge, and then when you select an edge, you can rotate and scale the edge and do all that. And when you press 3, this is face mode, so you can scale the face, you can rotate the face and stuff like that. So all the things in Maya, however I showed you, that's how you do it in Blender. Now, if you want to add objects into Maya so you can start modeling, it's Shift and right click. When you hold Shift and right click down, you get presented with this menu here. And then if you go to cube and let go of your right click while holding Shift, it spawns a cube, right? And then you can let go of Shift, and that's how you spawn a cube, right? And now when you delete it, so let's do that again. Shift, right click, and sphere. And there you go, right? You spawned a sphere. Now, if you're really quick with it, you can do swipes in Maya, right? Check this out. Yeah. Oh, my bad. There you go, right? And that's how you spawn objects, right? So you hold Shift, and if you remember the what do you call that? A pie menu? Yeah. If you remember this pie menu, you should be able to spawn things really quickly. And when you're working with others and you spawn things like this, and then you're editing and you're like, yeah, we'll do that. It looks pretty cool. Now, in Blender, if you want to add an object, it's Shift A. Shift A will bring this convenient menu out, and you can go into mesh and you have all the meshes you need here. You can literally search over here as well. So you go to mesh, and then you go to cube, and there you go. You have your default cube. That's it. And that's how you spawn objects. The last 2 tips are insert edge loop and extrusion. I'm going to teach you this, and I'll call this video off. And then with just these basics, you can actually take objects around your house, try to get the rough shape, right? You don't have to be perfect. Try to use everything I showed you in this video and try to get the basic shape, and that's how you start modeling. So the first is insert edge loop. How do you do that? When you have the object selected in Maya, hold down Shift and right click, and then you can go to insert edge loop tool right here. And when you have that selected, see how it says click drag on edges? You can select an edge and look at that. you can manually place another loop on that object, right? So if you click on this edge, it adds over here, one over here, and one over here, right? This is insert edge loop in Maya. In Blender, you just hit tab, go into edit mode, and then it's Control R. And when you hit Control R, you can see the gizmo in Blender. And by default, it snaps to the center of that edge, guys, right? So if you want to confirm it, left click. But here's the thing, when you confirm it, it's still not done. Now you're in the second phase of editing, which you can drag manually. This is what we were doing in Maya, right? So you can drag this manually, and then if you left click again, now it's confirmed, right? And there you go, that's your edge. So Control R, put that there, Control R, and you see how this is now the midpoint from this vertex to this, and then from this vertex to this, right? So it's taking the midpoint of that edge. Because you have put an edge loop over here, this edge has now become shorter. So Blender takes the midpoint of that now, right? And if you click on it and it's now centered, just left click again, and that is perfectly in the center of the cube. Okay, so I'm just gonna show off a little bit. Can I do that? Because I'm a primary Maya user, right? You guys will be like, well, you showed us how to add an edge loop in the center in Blender, but how do you do that in Maya? Well, kid, this is how. How did you do that? Like this. Can you show again? Yes, like this. That failed. So this is another trick in Maya. These are all swipe and memory stuff, right? So if you remember them, it's going to be easy. And this was pretty cool when I actually saw it. So if you're amazed, I'm just going to show you how to do it now so that you guys can practice. People who are using Maya and did not know this, well, something you learned, right? So remember, this technique will add a loop perpendicular to the edge you select. So if you select this, the loop's going to run this way, right? So it's going to run here. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted a loop to run like this, you select one of these edges and do it, right? So when you select an edge, it's Control right click. Okay, you with me? So Control and then right click, hold it, go to Edge, Ring and Utility, and then to Edge, Ring and Split. And that's how you add an edge in the center. And that loop goes all the way, right? So what was that fancy stuff I was doing, right? So when you select an edge, look at how, so I'm just going to keep the cube on the side. Look at how the pattern is drawn. So Control, right click, look at this. You see this pattern right here, and then you see this, right? So notice how it's like a, like a mouth of Pac-Man on the right side. It's like this V, yeah, that pointer. So if you make that pointer, if you make that gesture really quick, right, in Maya, it happens. So something like that. Oh, I messed up. Like that, right? So if you do it without letting the options pop up, you can add that edge loop. And if you want to be fancy with it, yeah, you can just go cross like that for some reason, and Maya will understand. There you go. I hope that helps. Now, let's jump to extrusions. In Maya, if you select the object, you need to select the face you want to extrude, right? And when you select the face, guys, hold Shift and then use the gizmo to extrude it along whatever axis you want. So if I hold Shift and I come on top of any of these axes, do you see how it says extrude? That's what it is. So if you hold Shift, see, it changes. And now when I click on that axis and pull it out, I have literally extruded that face. This is in Maya, right? So pretty simple. And that is one way to do it. The other way is when you go to face selection mode, hold Shift, right click, and then you see extrude face here, go to there. And now this goes into extrude mode with the extrusion gizmo, right? Now you don't have to hold anything. Now you can literally move this out. right? And because the tool is open, do you guys see it has move and it has scale? So if I click on this, I should be able, oh, I'm sorry. If I click on the center, I should be able to scale that extrusion face right then and there, right? That's the only difference. And when you go into object mode, there you go. In Blender, when you go to edit mode, press 3 to go to face, and you selected that face, right? So, sorry, I selected that face. So when you hit E after selecting a face in edit mode, it's extrusion. And by default, when you select a face and when you press E, Blender will extrude it along its normal, right? So there you go. It's going to go on top. So that's how you move the face. And now you can literally move this wherever you want. Make a jiggle, make a jiggle. Stop it. Okay, so that is one way. And then when you press E and then move this, and now that it's out, you press S and then you scale it, and you see everything we did in Maya, it's the same in Blender, right? So you extrude it, you scale, move, rotate, do whatever you want. And because you extruded this, and when you go to vertex mode, now you have these two vertices, you have 4 new vertices to play with, right? So you can even further go ahead and edit your mesh, right? And go crazy with it. All right, and with that, I think we'll call this video off. I hope you guys liked the way I taught this, and if you did, do comment down below what you want to learn next. I'm just trying my level best to make an audience where I can teach, because I love teaching and I love 3D, and hopefully one day, maybe when I go online, 10 people just join the live and we all can like sit together on a weekend, maybe listen to music and make 3D art. That's pretty much my dream. That's it. So yeah, that's pretty much. And oh my god, what else? I hope you have a good week planned. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I want to eat ramen. Alright, with that guys, the video is off. Have a beautiful week, and Saurabh signing off.